And welcome back. And we have in our guests not one, not two, but three. Was it Harold Melvin and the Blue?
That's a good one.
I like that.
We have three Bermudian brothers, and I'll allow them to introduce themselves.
Yes, good evening, Brother Chris. Thank you for inviting Mask. I am Tyrone McCarty. I'm one of the three therapists of Mask, and I'm sure we will talk more about what Mask is in a moment, but I'll pass the mic to brother to my left.
Hey, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. This is Dr. Pete.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Bermuda Day. Fitzgerald Williams. Everybody calls me Fitzy from Mask.
Okay. So for those who don't know, what is Mask? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, we love having that
I know, but
conversation.
I want you to tell people what it is.
Yeah, I guess in short, Mask is a counseling service for men. So the tagline is actually men helping men. So we're in the mental health and human services field. What's unique about us, of course, is that the entire staff is male, and our clientele, we're focusing solely on men and boys and males. So that's the unique part about us. MASK, of course, for most people, they think it's an acronym. It's not actually. It's actually short for masculine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what we quickly realized was that, hey, I think that the name of our company and our practice is quite fitting, because every single day across this great country of ours, brave men and men like us, of course, and men like who are listening to the show today, they put on a mask and they go out and face the day. And that sometimes is a very, very necessary thing in order to function and to get through the stresses of life. But underneath that mask, there potentially is an individual who may be hurting, who may be stressed, who may have some questions, and who may be going through some things. And what we're trying to do, of course, at Mask is create an environment and a space where men can come and they can literally unmask. They can take that mask off and start addressing some issues, talking about some issues, and finding solutions to everyday problems.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was going to add to what Dr. Pete mentioned in terms of further background of how Mask actually was formed. And the idea of Mask actually was planted over 20 years ago when three of us worked in the civil service. Yes, yeah. And only 3 years ago, that seed has blossomed into our foundation in terms of our formation, rather. Mm-hmm. And so that means we started in the pandemic. And I know it seemed counterintuitive at the time to start a business during the pandemic, but what the pandemic did, it highlighted how much it was weighing on all of us. The experience of being in lockdown, the experience of wondering what was going on. And so we thought it was the opportune time to start Mask proper. So like I said, back in 2021, 3 years ago, we formed Mask. We opened up at a location in Chancery Lane in Hamilton. Mm-hmm. We are now located on Reed Street. The correct address is Williams House.
Yeah, 20 Reed Street.
that's your house, Fritzy?
Yeah, it's definitely my house. The writing was written on the wall. But yeah, so we are currently located at Williams House, second floor, 20 Reed Street. Mm. And for those who don't know, that is actually upstairs of Coconut Rock. So by all means, we would encourage everyone just to come up and have a look at the space. It's a beautiful space.
Always tell Bermudian or a restaurant that's
yes.
a landmark.
Landmark,
Yeah. Okay, Coconut Rock, yeah. So, Dr. Pete, you have something you'd like to share?
Yeah, so, one of the things that we're trying to do, of course, is to get to know men and to be able to tailor our services towards males and in a way that will be attractive to men. Because we do know, of course, when it comes to mental health services, men are in need of mental health services and mental health support just as much as our female counterparts.
Agreed.
But it doesn't matter what jurisdiction of the world in which you live in. Men do not seek mental health services or support services.
And why is that?
Right. That's one of the things so we know the answer intuitively, I think, because we could simply answer that question ourselves. So what we decided to do was go ahead and put out a survey and to get some honest feedback from men who look like us. So We just got some of the initial results from the survey back to us today. This information that we're about to share with you, Brother Chris, has not been communicated anywhere else. This is it.
This is like the great reveal.
This is going to be the great reveal. So the illustrious place of dissemination of great information about how men think and feel is coming right from Motion to Adjourn. One of the survey questions. So we only had 4 survey questions because we're talking to men. Men are not going to fill out a survey that's got 15, 20 questions on it, even more than that. So you want to keep it nice and simple and keep it nice and succinct.
Yeah.
One of those questions was, what is the biggest obstacle preventing men from going to counseling? I think intuitively you probably know the answer.
Hey, I think I answered that. That was on Facebook or something like that?
Yeah, I think you may have.
It was like 3 questions, I want to say. 3 or 4
it was 24 questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
The majority of the respondents to that question, what's the biggest obstacle preventing men from accessing services and taking advantage of mental health services, is pride, stigma, and ego. Not money, not availability of services. Pride, stigma, and ego. If you want to put it in layman's terms, I think I can take care of my own stuff. I think I should take care of my own stuff. It feels really awkward admitting to someone else that I ain't got my stuff together.
Right.
And I'm wondering what people are going to think if I have to go and talk to Brother Chris about the stuff that I'm going through because I can't take care of it on my own.
Or some stranger, right? Because the reality is that we do that anyway.
Right.
You know, most guys get together with someone, you know, sitting across a bar or, you know, at a football game or wherever, or even in a barbershop.
Right. And start talking there.
Yeah, and just start talking. And the conversation just evolves into something else.
I have a WhatsApp message came in from someone, and it says, "A few good men you have there." So
Yeah, it's a few. Yeah, it's a few.
Yeah.
Right. I use the word gentleman
that.
for these guys
Thank you.
quite loosely sometimes.
and you will continue.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Of course, you know, we can always come back on another occasion and maybe talk at length on some of these things. So, but if pride, stigma, and ego are one of the biggest obstacles for men seeking mental health services and support services, only illustrates why putting on the mask is so important. Lots of people going to work every single week, hating their job, hating their life, but hey, you know what you got to do?
Right.
What you got to do? You got to suck it up if you have to. But underneath all of that, there is a lot of stress, a lot of frustration, and depending on their coping strategies and coping skills, those types of issues may really compound. Now, most of the respondents, of course, for this survey are actually married. It was about 41% of the respondents.
Any correlation?
Yeah, we talked about it in
discussed that.
out there in the lobby while you were having your earlier guests.
Yeah, we definitely discussed that.
And there is good research out there that says, hey, listen, marriage is actually a protective factor. Being in a relationship for men is a protective factor. We're better men when we're in a relationship. We're better men when we're married.
Sure.
We have more mental health and more medical issues when we're single. We even live longer if we're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Even though some of your
There's
relationships
evidence
may
that supports that, yes.
some relationships may kill you, right? But by and large, we're better off overall when we're in relationships. So on this particular survey so far, the survey is still live, but as of yesterday, these were some of the respondents. So maybe we can just lastly, perhaps maybe take a look at one of the other questions. The one that I would suggest we take a look at is this one. How do you think the respondents answered this question? How do you pick up yourself on those days off, those not so good days? So when you're having a really bad day, when you're having a crappy day,
Which we all do.
which we all do, and you don't like your boss and your boss don't like you,
Yep.
when she's not speaking to you, you're not speaking to her,
Nerves, yep.
right?
Absolutely.
When the kids are just off the rails,
Yes.
how do you handle your bad days?
Right.
What happens when Manchester United loses consecutive games? You know,
okay, no,
those
We're
types
not
of
going to
things.
turn this into
Oh, you mean like when Arsenal? Like, you mean like when Arsenal almost had the league, right down to Super Sunday and first.
Yes, that was
one.
that was not a really good day for me. And Fitzy would know.
Yes, I do.
Right.
Well, he's an
My team
Arsenal
won,
fan
right?
too.
Oh no, don't
No.
insult me.
He's a Man City
I'm a
fan.
Man City fan.
We're both
Show him good
United.
ODB.
Glory, glory.
Yes, yeah, glory,
So,
United.
now, given the fact that the majority of the respondents were married and the majority of the respondents were over the age of 45 on this particular survey, this is how the survey results came back. Most of the people said, hey, listen, when I'm having bad days, believe it or not, this is how I cope. Prayer.
Yep.
Watch sports. Play music. Talk to my wife was number 4. Not number 1.
It was prayer first. It prayed first before they go.
Yes. And for most guys, that's actually one of those silent prayers. Lord, help me today so I don't really lose my stuff.
Exactly.
Right? So, right.
If she asks him about that loan one more time, Lord.
It's
Now-
gonna be some furniture moving around her.
Some of the respondents at the very, very end were like, exercise. Which then was suggested for talking about this, we're kind of a little bit out of balance.
Right.
You want exercise, eating right, and those types of things to be a little higher on that list. But, hey, right now in Bermuda, a lot of men are under a lot of stress.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things that we want to work on with them is identifying some of those maladaptive coping mechanisms that they're utilizing, things that are not benefiting them. And so if they want to do better in their relationships, we ask simple questions like, are the things that you're doing getting you any closer to where you want to be? And that's kind of how we get let me use I statements. That's kind of how I get the conversation started, just to determine more specifically what it is that they're trying to achieve. Each of us, when we enter into an environment, are looking to achieve something specific. And if we simply ask ourselves, is the things that I'm doing getting me any closer to that? If the answer is no, then maybe I need to try something different.
Mr. McCarty?
Sure, and if I can circle back to
My Manchester United brother.
Absolutely.
Oh,
There
gosh,
you
here
go.
we go.
There you go. I'm going to circle back to that the first survey question
Yeah.
that Dr. Peets read out and shared the results from. When our male clients finally get or break through that barrier of coming or availing themselves to therapy, it's key for us as therapists and myself in particular to build that trust and rapport and to help them through the process of change, or facilitate that. And so sometimes that involves motivational interviewing. In fact, even before they come to counseling, some clients want to see or want to know more about what that experience may be like. And so we do offer complimentary consultations and speak to them about, what it would entail. And even at that point, we're doing motivational interviewing in terms of, what are the advantages and disadvantages of staying in the place that they are currently in and not seeking out professional services. And so we aim to help them to break through the barriers of therapy and to really facilitate that change.
And just another thing as well, what wasn't mentioned as of yet, I believe, is that one of the biggest obstacles to people, or guys specifically, coming into counseling, other than the obvious that we've already stated, is confidentiality. A small place like Bermuda, no one wants their business to be out there. Right? And so we protect that at all costs. We maintain that, and we let them know what the limitations of that confidentiality is. And so that's important because obviously I don't want my business to get out there. I'm coming in there to, tell you about my personal stuff. And the last thing I want is to walk out the door and my personal stuff ends up on the street and I'm hearing about it, etc. And in a place like Bermuda, it can be very detrimental to people and actually further exacerbate whatever stresses they're currently engaging in.
So let me ask you something.
Sure.
And I'm just being hypothetical here, right? Someone's listening in right now and is like, I need to reach out to these brothers. And, okay, I know Coconut Rock, they're going through the process. But they're like, but then if people see me going up the steps, they'll know that I'm going to get therapy. People's going to know all these CC, So the question I ask is, do you, and this may sound very rudimentary, Mr. McHardy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you all do home visits or off-site visits, off-site consultations?
I'm not sure about that, to
We
be honest.
generally-
I mean, we can do that. I mean,
We have done that.
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay. But it's not something that we generally look to do, right? Because there is travel time again involved in that. And so, if, for example, the person stays in Hamilton Parish or even in Warwick or Southampton, that takes time out of the office for us to get there. So if it's 20, 30 minutes travel time there, 20, 30 minutes travel time back, that's an entire counseling session, and that's essentially someone else that we could have seen and helped. However, we have provided services to PALS, or we do rather provide mental health counseling services to PALS. And so there are some gentlemen who are end of life. And so we assist them in terms of that process and what that looks like and bringing closure for their family, etc. So we have done that. But I think it's definitely on a case-by-case basis.
I say that because if according to your survey, the biggest stumbling block is pride, ego, and stigma.
Yeah.
Right. Let's say somebody gets past the point of the self pride and the ego, then we're on the issue of stigma.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, Mr. McHardy and I live, and Dr. Peace, we all come from the same neighborhood, and the biggest institution in that neighborhood is Maui.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes.
Yep.
So if someone knows you're going up the hill, lack of a term,
Yeah.
colloquial term, if you're going up the hill on a regular basis, you're going out there for some sort of treatment, one thing or the other. So there for some, there may be a stigma attached. Oh, I don't
Understood.
want nobody to see me going up that way. They might be going up there for you have people doing diabetics
Yes.
type of thing. Oh, people think I'm going Maui for mental treatment or whatever. So there's stigma.
Yes.
So what I'm simply saying is that as you evolve, because you have the seed was planted 30 years ago, and as you have evolved, as you
Yes.
evolve,
Yeah.
there
Right.
could be a built-in component
Yes.
for home visits or off-site visits,
So-
and maybe they
Right.
get billed for 2
Agreed.
hours instead of 1
So-
hour,
Agreed.
right?
We're certainly sensitive to those things, and obviously we're open to those type of conversations. Hence the reason why we're asking the question and to try to find out exactly what the men out there, what they need, and how we can best, meet that need and provide that service. One of the things that we can't ignore is that this particular clinical practice started during COVID. And during COVID, we couldn't meet in person at all. That technology that we had when we first started is still available to us today. So we're still able to do telemedicine. So that will be such sessions with an individual that's virtual. Either because of transportation or some physical ailment, you can't come into the office, or maybe even because of some emotional issue or issues around pride and stigma that you can't come into the office. There's still another vehicle in which help can be
Okay,
accessed,
yeah,
and
you're
we can do
correct.
that.
I missed
we
that
can
part.
we can do that virtually.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me, if I may add, it would be remiss of me if I didn't add that in terms of stigma, it is lessening. It is decreasing, even though it may exist. And we know this because we've had former clients proclaim such on social media, which we appreciate.
Yes,
Not
absolutely.
necessarily suggest that that's what someone should do, but if they feel comfortable in disclosing, that's fine. But the stigma is lessening. We see it within pop culture where different influencers or celebrities may have you go to therapy, and it's not, of course, only for psychiatric illnesses, but for daily mental health stresses that one can avail themselves to therapy. So I would say, yes, there is a stigma, but it is lessening, and in particularly amongst males, which is the target group that we service.
And there's a lot of work that's being put into, not just by us, but by other organizations as well, just to normalize mental health services for men in general. There are a lot of things that need to be unlearned, and we're just, another cog in that wheel just to help in that process.
Well, as I said earlier, this is the beginning of a conversation.
of course.
Absolutely.
Just like that seed was planted 30 years ago.
Yes.
You keep bringing that one up.
So what we would like to do is not introduce you, invite you back
We'd
a
love to
few
do
months
that.
from now.
We'd
follow
love to
up,
do that.
might have another survey up. Might have some other services that you might want to speak about.
Sure.
But
Yes.
as a man, about a month ago, I went to a funeral service for a gentleman, and had a lot of people there were like, had he spoke to someone, this would not have happened. type of
Understood,
thing, right?
yeah.
So I say that to say to anyone listening, especially my brothers, right? Reach out to somebody,
Yes.
because the thing is that as men we have ego, stigma, pride, right? We'll quickly go down to a bar,
Sure.
have a few shots or whatever, go shout at a football match. That's a form of releasing
Yeah.
stress, but there are professionals there to take you to that next level.
Agreed.
Because if your relief valve is a bottle or something else, that's not going to help you in the long
Right.
run. That's
You're
going
gonna
to
come
put you in a
down
different
eventually.
direction.
That's right.
Right. So I just want to, as a black Bermudian, let's just take a black, as a Bermudian male, I want to thank you all
Thank
for
you. We appreciate it.
doing what you're doing for the man of Bermuda, because we all are under a growing amount of stress, whether
Yes.
it's financial, marital, blah blah blah.
Right.
And
if someone wants to reach out to us, they can contact us on 601-6272. Again, that's 601-6272. Or they can go to our website, which is MASC, M as in Mary, A as in alphabet, S as in Sam, C as in cat, maskbda.com.
or AM as in Manchester, C as in
I
city.
knew you was going there.
I mean, I'm looking at the colors on your thing.
Don't tell them.
I think
Don't
you
tell
snuck
them
that
that.
one in there, 50.
Certainly snuck it
It
in.
looks like Man City
Yeah,
colors
city
there,
of
bro.
Sky blue, buddy.
But anyway, I want you brothers to enjoy your holiday, your Bermuda
will.
Day
We will.
tomorrow, no
Yes.
matter
Yes.
what you're doing, no matter what you're, dancing or
Sure.
consuming.
Sure.
Any final words do you say to people of Bermuda on Bermuda Day? Specifically about Bermuda Day.
Well, obviously, Bermuda Day is a very, very special day for the country, for everyone involved. Enjoy the festivities tomorrow. Best of luck to all the competitors in the race. We know that the parade tomorrow is going to be better than it was last year, better than the year before. Now that we've come out of COVID, the parade is looking fantastic, and so we're just praying everyone enjoys themselves and be safe.
Yeah, just get him safely afterwards.
Don't take up nobody's spot tonight, because it will be detrimental.
No comment. I'm got an issue in my hands now.
Don't peel nobody's tape or put your own tape on. I was outside Marketplace, right? And I saw this tape, and I was like, why the hell is tape on the ground, right? And then I looked at the tape, and said, I won't say the name, but it said the name, and then it said 20 years. In other words, like, I'm been there 20 years.
Right.
Don't even think about taking this spot here.
Established. Yeah, I tell you.
I haven't been outside a marketplace for 20 years, but close enough.
Oh, was that your tape?
Oh, you weren't talking about me. My bad.
No, seriously. I took a picture. It said, Williams, 20 years.
Oh, no.
That was you? Seriously, that was you, Fitz?
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Famous.
Oh,
Right.
It must be the swizzle talking.
Cut to commercial. Cut to commercial.
Because we're not going to admit to any illegal activity
No, we're
live
not.
on the radio.
All right, well, that's it. Brother Dunn, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
all.
To
Thank
people,
you.
of
Thank you very
Bermuda,
much.
thank you very much.